Yeah, so coming to these JAD sessions, which we are going to call it as a joint application development sessions. So these sessions uh, these JAD sessions will be mostly used when we are at the earliest stage of the development of the project, which is nothing but the requirements phase or the analysis phase. So what we are going to do in this JAD sessions is we'll see. So we mentioned like JAD is a joint application development system or the methodology which involves the client or the end user in the design and the development of an application, which we are going to get by implementing collaborative workshops, which we are going to call it as a JAD sessions. So we need to implement or we need to design a workshop introducing like the different people who are involved in the design and the development of the application or the project that what you are going to develop. So as we are following mostly the Agile, which is an iterative development process. So this is one of the most important technique which we are going to implement. So JAD will be an important technique for the iterative development, and it is also used as a technique for developing business system requirements. So business system requirements are nothing but the client or the business functional requirements. So we like if you remember when we discussed about the stakeholder management. So in the stakeholder management, what is our initial task is like we need to identify the stakeholders on the different areas in the client business. So we are so in order to perform or in order to identify the stakeholders, what we are doing, we are scheduling a common meeting around all the users, all the required members for the development of the application. And then in that meeting, we are taking the persons or the members who are responsible or who are accountable or who need to be informed on certain areas of the development of the project. So the same concept here we are implementing in the JAD sessions, but here we are not focusing about the roles and the responsibilities of the different users or the stakeholders involved in the development of the project. So here we are performing a workshop or we are performing a meeting by having the different members who are involved in the design in the sense like the project who are having the complete understanding on the requirements, which is nothing from the business side, and the development of the project. The development of the application or the project is nothing but the technical lead, the project manager, or the QA members, or the architects, solution architects. So these are the different people who are involved in the development phase of the application. So we have from the design perspective, we have the client business who is going to give us the explain about the requirements of the functionality of the requirements. So they're made by a subject SMEs who can give us in detail about the requirements, and then the combination of the development team.
Yes.
So a JAD workshop cannot be effective unless the right people are selected and willing to participate. This is true for both application developers and the user participants. So whenever you are performing this JAD session, we need to identify like these are the right people which we need to have them in our workshop or in our meetings to give us some detailed information. Say, for example, when you are discussing about the client requirements or the business requirements, and if you have a person who is not aware of the requirements that has been shared by the business or who is not aware of the functionality of the client business process, then adding that particular person into our workshop or into our chat session doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So, in order to perform this JAT session, what we need to do when we are talking about specific to the role of a business analyst here, we need to come up with the set of needs or the set of um, members who are a set of participants who need to have participate in the particular JAD session or the workshop that what you are going to plan. And this JAD session will be conducted by the business analyst itself, by the BA itself. So he need to do this workshop. Why? Because here in this workshop, we are involving all the people, like we are adding the having the participants of from the business users, and we are having the participants from the development team, so that we are having the combination of both the application development and then the client business requirements. So with the help of this, we will get a complete understanding of the requirement or the functionality that what you are going to implement. Excuse me. So that is what here explained is the purpose of the JAD session is to bring together the IT. IT is nothing but our development team, and then the business community, which is nothing from the team from the business process or from the client side. We are arranging a structured workshop which is giving to extract the conscious based system requirements. So we will see these things in detail, like when we are performing a gap session. So as a BA, we need to have these sessions, like we need to simplify the, like in order to have a meetings scheduled for a couple of months. So we need to, instead of having, say, for example, scheduling a recurrence meetings for every week or for every alternate days, we can have a workshop at the earliest stage of the development of the project, so that we need not to have different meetings required here. So, and then we also, uh, when you are preparing this or conducting this workshop, so you need to identify like what are the different list of participants who are involved, and then at the same time you need to also aware of like what are the issues that we are going to discuss in this particular JAT session or then this particular meeting or in the particular workshop.
Okay.
So, and then you need to have the information and the processing needs, and we need to have the clarify where we need to maintain the all the requirements which should be agreed upon the workshop. So, whatever the requirements that you are discussing in the JAT session or in this particular meeting, you should have a clear understanding of what you are going to ask or what you are going to discuss about this particular requirement in our JAT sessions or in other meetings. So Unify is nothing but where whatever the information that we are collected here, which is related to the requirements part. So it will be acted as a, the output from one phase of the development is the input to the next phase. So which is nothing but whatever the outcome of this particular meeting or this JAT session is, we are going to have the clear structure of the requirements that what we are going to develop. So this is the output of having or implementing these JAT sessions. So this output is nothing but you are having the clear set of requirements. So when you have this clear set of requirements, so this will be becoming as the input for the next phase, which is nothing but the development phase. So the output here, output from the JAT session will be acting as an input to the next phase of the development of the project. So what are the four principal steps when we have to implement the JAT session is we need to define the session objectives, like the objectives of the meeting, or you can say like the agenda of the meeting should be clear, and then you prepare for the session. So you need to prepare well, like what are the different questions or what are the questions that you are having on the set of requirements, or what information do you want to discuss with the in this particular meeting, and then what are the confirmations or the approvals that you are required on a certain things, like on the different set of requirements that you are having. And then produce the documents and so define the session objectives, prepare for the session, conduct the session, and then produce the documents. So produce the documents, which is nothing but after completing the session, we need to have some MOM. MOM is nothing but the minutes of meeting, like some document, like these are the points that we have discussed in this particular meeting, and these are the things where we need to get the approvals from certain persons so that it why because this document that what we are preparing is nothing but the conclusions of all the points that are discussed in the particular session. So when
Okay.
we share this document across all the team members, or we can say it is like a JAD participants. JAD participants are nothing but the participants or the members who are involved in the JAD session or the JAD workshop. So when we are going to share this document to all the people who are involved in the project, so they should be having the clear understanding of like these are the topics or the points with what we have discussed, and these are the confirmations or what we need for the next session, and then these are the outputs that what we have discussed on certain topics.
Okay.
So coming to the JAD participants here, we have the different roles. We have the JAD facilitator, which is nothing but the BA, and the documenter. We will also call it as a scribe, is the technical or the BA terminology of the word that can be used. It is a scribe is nothing but the role of a person who is going to prepare the documentation part, or who is going to prepare the notes uh, that we have discussed in the particular workshop, or that we have discussed on certain requirements.
Okay.
So we have the business experts, like as we mentioned, like we have the from the design phase, we will be having like the business users or the business process where we are going to get the information on the requirements part, and then we will be having the technical support, which is nothing but the architecture team, solution architect, and then we have the project manager, and then we have the executive sponsor, who is nothing but we can also call it him like as a client who is going to pay the billing, give the billing of the project. So we have the major or the key role in to perform these JAT sessions is the JAT facilitator, who is nothing but the BA. So what is the job of the JAT facilitator is, like we already discussed, like whenever you are performing a JAT session, you need to have the clear understanding of identifying the right people, and then you need to have the clear understanding of the topic or the agenda that you are going to discuss on the particular workshop, and then you need to have a precise documentation which explains or which gives the input of whatever the clarifications that we got from the particular workshop, or whatever the approvals that we need from the different people who are involved, or the additional information that we need to get like in certain areas when we are performing a workshop. So if I'm not aware of a particular concept, then I'll be saying like I'll discuss with these with my managers or with some other persons, and I'll get back to you in the next meeting. So here I will be making a point like, so when we discussed about this certain requirement, so this particular person is going to provide the information after discussing with this particular team or with particular department. So here the JAT facilitator is going to facilitate the decision-making process by asking the questions, seeking out ideas from all the participants, ensuring that the discussion is focused and capturing the sufficient amounts of information for the documentation and review. So here, as we discussed, like when we are uh, going to perform in this JAT session or the workshop, we need to have the clear understanding of the points that what we are going to discuss. And you should have a list of prepare a list of questions, like these are the list of questions that where you need to get it clarified from the different people who are involved in this particular meeting. And whatever the information that you have discussed, or whatever the confirmations you have received on certain requirements, or the clarifications that you have got from your questions, so that should be documented. Why? Because uh, in major of the projects, we will not be allowed to record the sessions, like to record the meetings when we have discussed with the specifically when the client is involved, like the client involvement meetings. So we are not allowed to record the meetings or record the sessions. So in due to that, we need to document, or we need to have the notes of each and every point that what we have discussed, so
Okay.
that once we are done with the workshops, we will be sending these notes across all the team members, saying like these are the points that what we have discussed, or these are the confirmations that what we need. And we are mentioning, like pointing out, like these are the responsible persons who are going to get the confirmations or going to provide the clarity on these particular requirements by our next workshop or by our next session. And to prepare these notes, we can also have a one more participant who can also be called it as a documenter or the scribe. So this is the person whom we are calling it as a scribe, like because as we are not allowed to record the meetings, so we need to have a particular person, a specific person who is assigned to make the notes of each and every point that we have discussed in the JAD sessions. And the job of this documenter is to capture the notes about the discussions, and he can use I mean, whatever the best approach, whether he can use the system or he can use uh, the Word document, whatever, whichever the thing is comfortable for him to take the notes that has been given to him, so that he can use whether the system to capture the documents, or sometimes he can take a notes and then he can update them in the once he had a notes in the then he can update them in the document. And so the only responsibility, or the only use of this particular scribe or the particular documenter is just to take the notes of the points that are discussed in the session or in the workshop. Apart from
Okay.
that, we don't have any specific role any specific responsibilities that he is going to perform in the development of the application of the project.
Okay.
So in the JAD participants, we also discussed about the business experts. So business experts are nothing but the participants who are responsible for describing their business, and the user participants, which can be acting as the key contributors in the workshop, and they will give us the best people who can explain about the design and then the functionality of the particular requirement, because the end users or the persons who are going to use the application from the client perspective or from the business area. So these persons will be having a clear understanding of how to execute this particular transaction, or how to post this particular transaction, or how we are going to use this functionality in our application. So we need to, when we say like a business experts, so we need to have the participants, like we need to have the right people who are aware of the client business functionality or the client business process. And technical support, as we already discussed, like these are the persons who are involved or to give the technical design of the system, say like the solution architect, or the persons who are going to give us the architecture or the technical design or the project design, or we can also say it as like the architecture design of the project. And then we have the project manager who is going to work on the what are the different type of resources we required from the different areas, and then how many resources are required, and then what are the like he will be doing the project planning related things. So for our to do all this project planning related things, we need to have a project manager.
Okay.
And then the executive sponsor is nothing but the person from the business who is going to pay or who is going to give the billing. So that is the executive sponsor who is going to manage of the business area, and he is the person who is going to set the purpose and the scope and objectives. And he is the person where we also call it as the finally the decision maker, that whatever the outputs that we have discussed on this JAD session, so he will be the person giving that detailed information on.
Okay.
Or we can also like he is the person like who can able to take the decisions. Like say for example, in the JAD session, we came across like when we implement a certain functionality, there is an impact on the financial transactions that what which may lead to slow down the process, or which may have some impact on the process. So when we are discussing or documenting this area, then he is the person who is having the capability or who is having the right can take the decision whether we can able to continue this requirement, or we can able to or what we can say like we can able to move this requirement from the scope of the project.
Okay.
So JAD session planning. So we are already discussed about to ensure the success of a JAD session, we need to have the sponsors, the project managers, and the JAD facilitator. So all these who are involved with the different roles as a participants, we call them as a JAD participants. So they need to work as a team, and they need to come up with a plan like these are the certain things that what we are going to discuss, because when we have a workshop of around 3 hours or 2 hours workshop, so we need to plan so on what are the key key areas that we need to discuss on this today's workshop. We need to prioritize like in today's workshop I am going to discuss on the role specific requirements. And during the preparation phase, we need to identify the managed perspective document, which determines the workshop deliverables with the project team. And we will be identifying the participants for the requirement sessions. And we will also be having the potential workshop or related to the project issues. So in the JAD session or the first workshop that what you are going to perform, so you will come across like there are certain requirements where the people that are involved or the participants who are there in this participated in the particular workshop, if they don't have uh, like they can't able to give us the detailed information, so they can provide us the point of contact or that whom we can reach out to get their clarification on the requirement that you are having.
Okay.
So these are the different roles and the responsibilities here. So how we are going to start the meeting. So you can also call like when we start the JAD session, you may call like the project leader where we are going to introduce all JAD team members, and we will explain like in this particular workshop. These are the things that what we are going to discuss, and these are the and how what are the documents like how we are going to give the details that whatever we discussed in the meeting. So we need to explain them like are we going to give them in a specific document or in a specific template, or just mentioning preparing the MOM, which is nothing but the minutes of meeting. So all these are nothing but you can go through this particular site and you can understand like what we are going to do in this particular JAD session meeting.
Okay.
And these are the guidelines to have a successful chat session. So, which we already discussed about all these points. The first one is we need to have a clear purpose that need to be shared by all team members. And then we need to have a diverse team which will be acting as a representative of all areas. And every idea that whatever you are thinking, or when we have a proposal from one of the participant, then we need to consider it as a valuable one, and we need to discuss on that, and we need to think about the pros and cons of implementing that particular idea. And participating by everyone is important because encouraging members to speak, they often have the best ideas. And you need not to allow one or two members to dominate here. So these are the basic rules, like when a particular member is discussing about a certain idea. So we do not include consider the other members in participating in that session, because we need to get the complete idea that what the particular participant has proposed. Then once we have that information, or the idea that has been delivered by the particular participant, then we can ask like, what are your thoughts, or you can share your thoughts on the idea that has been proposed by a specific member. And now you will see like what are the advantages and disadvantages of using the JAD sessions. So the advantages is like, we will have the key users to participate effectively, and we can need to have a proper use where the JAT can result in a more accurate statement of system requirements and a better understanding of common goals, and then giving a stronger commitment to the success of the new system. So the main advantage of using this JAD session is like involving all the participants who are required in the development of the project, and making them to work on in a single place, to have a common workshop to discuss on the all areas of the requirements, coming to the functionality of the requirement, and coming to the technical part of implementing the requirement. So we have the different departments who are required in the development of the project. And the disadvantages is nothing but, as we are taking, say for example, if we are conducting a workshop of a 2 hours, 2 hours workshop, so here we are involving the persons from the business users. So their cost of time will be more, and the billing of that particular architect people who are involved from the technical teams. So we are consuming their hours, like 2 hours of their daily work. So the hourly billing rate of these particular persons will be more. So when we are, that's the reason, like in order to perform a JAD session, you need to have a clear understanding of the scope of the meeting, or like the agenda of the meeting. And you should have a clear understanding. You should come to the meeting with a proper list of questions that you are going to ask about on the requirements to a certain type people here. So this is about the JAD sessions. So any questions till now?
No.
I think when you go through this particular slides, so you will come across like whatever the points that we discussed in this meeting. So you will get some idea on this. And if you still have any queries, or if you need any clarifications on certain points, or in this, uh, you can just ping me, or you can just discuss them in tomorrow's call.
Okay.
And actually, today we plan to discuss on the what we said, like the backlog refinement, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's okay, 8:47. I need to join another meeting at 9 p.m. Okay, so we'll do one thing. So we will discuss on this. I have already opened this set of. So what I'll do here, like we have 33 user stories in the backlog. So I'll create the epics or the features required for these for these 33 user stories. And then in tomorrow's in tomorrow's call, we will discuss on the user stories, like how to prepare the acceptance criteria. And we will work on the user stories and we'll prepare the acceptance criteria. And tomorrow, if possible, we will prioritize the list of user stories that what we have, like which of the user stories need to be implemented in the first phase or in the first sprint, or which can be implemented in the sprint two. So we will do the prioritization or the backlog refinement in tomorrow's session.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I need to stop the recording.